So recently we had a conversation about the heightened state of spiritual warfare that I was experiencing in my own life, and maybe others have experienced in their life too. Here's the cool thing. After all of that, there came like this moment of relief. So I got up and I went for like a little prayer walk. I slept in a little bit, went for a little prayer walk, and then I just kind of laid around and I didn't do much. I read the Bible. I surrounded myself with comfort food and just peace. Because here's one thing I know about Christianity and what I'd like to remind us of now. Jesus's priority was never our comfort. And so it makes sense that these moments of relief, like I was feeling over the weekend, those can be short-lived in the life of the Christian. Because here's the thing. Like we talked about last week, the devil prowling around like a roaring lion. Well, lions roar to protect their territory. So if you're doing something that encroaches on Satan's territory, he's going to start yelling at you a whole lot. And that yell can feel like the warfare that we experience. So there's that part of it. But also, I don't think warfare really befalls the comfortable Christian. If you're not doing anything for the kingdom, then you're not a threat to Satan's kingdom or his perceived dominion. Let me tell you a story. This is maybe will make things kind of come together a little bit. So I have this friend. We will call her Lisa, but I'm confessing the names have been changed to protect the innocent / newly saved. So Lisa and I met at church, and she started just coming around and engaging in like community groups and things like that, just like little pieces here and there. And she's very fun, and everybody liked her, and it was like, personable. But she was comfortable. Like she was, I would say, and she would even have said, believer, not quite disciple. And there's a difference in those two things. So she was comfortable in her belief in God, but also comfortable in telling God, this part is mine. Can't have this, Lord. This whole total surrender thing. Like, I'm going to live the way I want to live over here. And I watched this. I saw it. I knew it. And I just, sat back and prayed for her. And here's the thing I like about my church is that where we are right now in the green room of my church. That's why we're not at home like we normally are. But what I love about this place and the people in it is that if you keep hanging around long enough, someone at some point is going to challenge lazy Christianity. Someone is going to challenge you in what you really believe, whether you've been a disciple for years or you're just starting out and you kind of want to live in that comfortable Christianity zone, which, by the way, it's an oxymoron to me. I don't think that those two things can coexist. Anyway, Lisa starts coming around. She starts getting challenged. We started doing kind of some one-on-one discipleship stuff, but all at her request. It was, I want to know more about this. I want to know more about this. And so we really just spent time hanging out. And my pastor says all the time that you can have relationships without having discipleship, but you can't have discipleship without relationship. And that's really kind of how this whole thing played out between me and Lisa. It was just friendship, and then all of a sudden, well, I want to know about this, and I have a question about this, and I have a question about that. And so I started answering questions, and just kind of sitting back and praying for her, but it didn't look like a lot was changing. It looked like she was inquisitive, but not a lot was really shifting in her life. So I still wouldn't say that I would, her church life is one thing, but I wouldn't say that I'd look at her whole entire life and go, oh, that person obviously knows the Lord and is obviously walking with Jesus. But I would have said this person's obviously curious about Jesus. There's question marks here. So anyway, this goes on for several months. And then one Sunday, we had this really cool Sunday where worship just sort of like flowed at the end of one service straight through into the beginning of another service, and there was honestly no separation between services. It was just like more people came for the later service, but the first service people or second service people are still there, and then third service people are coming in. It was just like continual ministry and worship, and it was really cool. It was a really powerful response to the message that had been preached that day. So anyway, Lisa comes up at the end, and wanted prayer. And as I'm listening, and honestly, it wasn't even like, I need you to pray for me about this. She just walks up to the altar and begins praying, and I'm standing there hearing her talk to the Lord, and both of us weeping. And it's just this moment of total surrender for her. And everything looks different now. But it's not comfortable, because when we give our lives to Jesus, whether it's the discomfort comes because we're fighting spiritual warfare, or it comes because we have to interrupt what we've done with our lives and the lives we've created for ourselves so that Jesus can create the right life. We start having to say no to certain things that we've always said yes to, and yes to things that we've always said no to. So you're not sleeping in anymore, because if you don't get up and spend time with Jesus, you're missing that. And that's part of being a disciple, is being with him. And the only time to do it is early in the morning, perhaps. And so now your schedule changes, or the people you're hanging out with might shift, or what you're doing when you hang out with those people might shift. But either way, having to untangle our lives from the lives that we've created for ourselves and move them towards the life that Jesus calls us to live, that can bring about a lot of discomfort, right? But when we consider what this discipleship looks like, which is walking with somebody, following Jesus, and bringing somebody else alongside to help them follow Jesus. Like Paul said, follow me as I follow after him. And so I think about what Jesus said in the Great Commission. We always quote it starting at therefore go, but what happens before the therefore? Jesus says, all authority in heaven and earth has been given to me. Therefore, go. And it's like he's saying, all of this belongs to me. Every bit of authority belongs to me. So when I tell you this next part, you need to listen, because I'm not coming from, it's not a suggestion. It's not an option. It is a command. And I'm bringing every bit of authority in heaven and on earth to this command. So now, with that in mind, go make disciples. But he doesn't just say go make disciples. He says go make disciples of every nation. It's almost like he's saying, hey, don't be deterred when people don't look like you, don't think like you, don't act like you, don't have the same culture as you, don't have the same customs as you. Don't be deterred by that, because eventually this thing is going to blow up, and it's going to go all over the world, and it's going to start with your willingness to say yes to that. I want you to be part of this bigger story that I'm writing from now till eternity. Therefore, go. Make disciples of every nation, baptizing them in the name of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, teaching them to obey everything I've commanded you. So there is this part of discipleship where we get to bring others alongside, right? And in that, telling them, look, Jesus does not care as much about your comfort as he does about your holiness. He's much more interested, as my pastor has said, in your holiness than he is in your happiness. So the comfort, take those moments of comfort, of peace, those Sabbath moments where we get to just spend in the presence of God and everything feels like it's the way it should be. You know, for me, it's that moment of like, okay, I got to sleep in. I went on a little, and sleep in, by the way, is like maybe 7 o'clock. But went on a prayer walk, and I had extra time in the Word, and I had the really big cup of coffee, and there's a candle burning that's filling the house this time of year with, like, you know, the fall smells, and, you know, maybe there's like a really great box of Cheez-Its somewhere nearby, and a Gilmore Girls marathon, or whatever is right now it's Prison Break for me. It couldn't be more opposite than Gilmore Girls, but whatever your show of choice is, you know, sometimes that's what it feels like. That's what we want. But those moments are fleeting. And rather than those moments being, okay, distractions, like I just need to distract myself from the warfare that's going on, but actually let me engage with the peace of God in this moment, because God is far less interested in my comfort than he is in the impact that I'll be able to make for the kingdom. So to expect that comfortable Christianity, whether we're untangling our lives from the lives that we've created for ourselves in order to be more holy, or we're already living as a disciple, but we keep encountering warfare and we have this moment of respite, that's fine. Take it. But get back in the game, because your comfort is not nearly as important as the impact that you get to make as a disciple of Jesus.